A young man slipped silently into a crowded room. Taking up a station at the far end of a bar top, he surveyed the scene of laughter and optimism, but he didn't feel it. He quietly sipped his drink and felt his rib cage constricting more and more with every laugh he didn't share. He didn't belong here, and he knew it. He stepped outside, hoping the fresh air would somehow free his lungs to breathe more freely, and perhaps, if he were lucky, it'd clear his head too. A warm California breeze met him as he stepped onto the balcony overlooking the Beverly Hills. How did he arrive here, he wondered to himself. He's no man, he's no LA tech bro, no trust fund baby. He's just a boy from Kansas, David among Goliaths. This was someone who had scraped and clawed his way through life to get to just a point such as this. But now, being in this room, he didn't feel like he deserved to be there. Before he could answer his own rhetorical question, a voice called from behind him. "There you are. We need your expert opinion," it said. He took a moment, eyes closed, deep breath. Then I turned to meet the voice, my smile and mask firmly in place, and I followed back inside with an aura of confidence. No matter what we do, so long as we are creating, so long as we are moving the world forward, we will feel the shadow of the imposter. I've lived my life with the imposter always over my shoulder. It feeds on the conditioning of my past, telling me I'm not smart enough, not hardworking enough, or motivated enough to achieve more. It uses the failures of my past to drive away my inspiration and cripple my creativity. But through this, I've learned how to cage the creature, how to conquer the imposter syndrome that plagues us as creators, and I'm going to share that with you in just a moment. However, I must preface this video by saying I don't have the imposter mastered by any means. In fact, one reason I wanted to restart my YouTube channel with this video was for this very reason, to push through. One of the reasons I took a break from creating YouTube content for so long was because of the imposter. Every video I put out, the imposter monster in my own mind would ridicule me. It would tell me that I wasn't a talented enough designer or successful enough entrepreneur to be making these videos. I claimed I was a designer, but I knew that I never went to design school. In my own mind, none of my designs were good enough to be considered professional. I told people I was an entrepreneur, but I knew that all my businesses had shut down. And as a content creator, I knew that I only had a few subscribers, that my content was spotty at best. The content never turned out the way I wanted it. I always felt a little bit disingenuous. Yet despite all of this, others saw brilliance where I only saw flaws. It struck me as odd that people saw me differently than I saw myself. Perhaps this is you, networking, putting out content, trying to land clients, but always feeling tethered by the imposter, pulling you back into an abyss of insecurity. I'm here to tell you that you're not alone and give you some weapons that I've found helpful in fighting back. First, normalize it. Here's the truth. If you've never felt imposter syndrome, you're not stretching far enough. You're not daring bold enough. You're not growing fast enough. Every creator has it. It's not an epidemic to be cured, but rather a growth process to be identified and called out. Second of all, you need to name the things that haunt you. You need to write down the exact beliefs that are holding you hostage. For example, I don't belong in this room because I didn't go to X school, or I only got lucky. Naming them gives you the power to help recognize these lies when they inevitably reemerge. The pattern recognition can help you evaluate why you have these feelings and what triggers them. The imposter's power shrinks under the careful scrutiny of the lies they tell. Third, rewrite the story. Reframing is a powerful tool for overcoming the imposter. Perhaps your past is littered in failures like mine is. I've closed down 6 businesses. I once called that failure, but now I call it data. I'm an inventor on a quest to find out what works, and part of that process is finding out what doesn't work. A negative data point is just as valid as a positive one. Fourth, find your peers. The people around you are the most important, so surround yourself with others who speak truth into your identity, not fear. Oftentimes, the imposter is hard to identify when you're in the moment, so find friends you can trust, that you can confide in, and who will honestly call out the imposter when it rears its head. And try to be that voice for someone else, too. Sharing vulnerability turns doubt into camaraderie and confidence. Number 5, keep going. The truest mark of growth isn't the absence of fear, it's action in spite of it. The rooms where I used to feel the biggest imposter syndrome are now rooms that I can walk into with confidence. Not because I've somehow conquered my fear, but because I've pushed through to bigger moments and bigger fears. Now my imposter syndrome shows up in new forms whenever I push into uncharted territory. The old fears dissolve and new ones take their place. Your job as the creative is to press on. Lastly, you need to know it's all in your head. When I was just starting out as a brand designer, I would lead brand strategy sessions and I would get so nervous. I thought people would see right through my thin veil of experience. I expected someone to stand up mid-session and sneer, "Do you even have a degree?" Of course, that never happened. Instead, they would often say things like, "Wow, I never would have thought of that." It turns out, nobody else was keeping score of my insecurities, often because they were too busy wrestling with their own. So yes, I'm going back to making YouTube content, and the rooms that once made me shrink are now the ones I can walk into with the camera in hand. Not because I've silenced the imposter, but because I've learned to move forward despite the imposter by my side. And if this content resonated with you, join me on this journey. I've got more stories I'd love to share.